Welcome back to my YouTube channel. Are you holding on to what looks like just an ordinary coin? What if I told you that the 1944 wheat penny, a small copper coin minted over 80 years ago, could actually be worth a fortune, specifically one valued at around $418 due to its astonishing history, minting anomalies, and collector frenzy that continues to this day? This unassuming piece of metal, often forgotten in drawers and piggy banks, has a backstory so rich with errors, variations, wartime intrigue, and numismatic drama that it has catapulted this coin from spare change into the realm of valuable artifacts. The 1944 wheat penny was struck during a unique period in American history, right in the middle of World War II, where copper, steel, and other vital metals were being rationed for military use. Just a year prior in 1943, the U.S. Mint issued pennies made of zinc-coated steel instead of copper, leading to the iconic silver-colored 1943 steel cent. However, in 1944, the Mint returned to using copper sourced from recycled shell casings, a wartime effort that introduced unexpected inconsistencies in composition and color that now fuel collector demand. Among these 1944 wheat pennies, certain rare variants emerged either by accident or due to limitations in quality control. These include the famous 1944 steel penny, an extremely rare error in which a steel blank intended for the 1943 issue was accidentally used in 1944. This rare error is worth tens or even hundreds of thousands of dollars, but even the standard 1944 copper penny, especially in uncirculated condition, has surged in value thanks to its historical context, die varieties, and mint-specific features that intrigue coin experts and hobbyists alike. For the $418 valuation, we are focusing on a circulated 1944 wheat penny with unique attributes such as double die obverse errors, repunched mint marks, lamination errors, off-center strikes, and coin planchet issues that elevate a normal coin into the realm of big money collectibles. Double die obverse errors, for instance, cause noticeable doubling in the inscriptions like "Liberty," "In God We Trust," or the date itself, easily spotted with the naked eye or a magnifying lens. These types of errors occurred due to misalignment during the hubbing process when the die was created, resulting in a misprint that's now considered a prized anomaly. Then there are repunched mint marks, a subtle but important feature where the letter indicating the mint location, like D for Denver or S for San Francisco, was stamped more than once in a slightly shifted position. This could occur if the initial punch was off-center or incomplete and had to be corrected, leading to a visible duplication that collectors find irresistible. The Philadelphia Mint coins have no mint mark and were produced in the highest quantities, but even these have discovered variations and striking errors that increase their worth significantly. On the other hand, the Denver and San Francisco Mint versions had relatively lower mintages and tend to be more scarce in higher grades, thereby commanding higher prices, especially when found in pristine condition or carrying an error. Lamination errors on a 1944 wheat penny happen when impurities in the metal or issues during rolling cause parts of the surface to flake off or wrinkle, giving the coin a rough texture that makes it visibly distinct and collectible. Off-center strikes occur when the coin blank is not properly seated in the collar before being struck by the dies, causing an asymmetric appearance and missing design elements on one side. The further off-center the strike, while still retaining enough identifying features, the more valuable the coin becomes. Planchet flaws like clipped planchets or improper alloy mixes also contribute to a coin's desirability and increase market value. The 1944 wheat penny also enjoys an emotional and historical edge because it evokes the patriotic sentiments and sacrifices of the wartime generation, making it not just a collector's piece but a miniature time capsule. Add to that the general popularity of the Lincoln Wheat Penny series, which ran from 1909 to 1958, and it becomes clear why these coins are constantly sought after at auctions, estate sales, flea markets, and online marketplaces. Collectors are not only drawn to the monetary value but also to the thrill of discovering rare variants or forgotten treasure in old jars or coin rolls. Some 1944 wheat pennies have graded exceptionally well with third-party grading companies like PCGS or NGC, receiving high mint state grades like MS 65, MS 66, or even MS-67, and those coins often sell for several $100s and sometimes cross the $1,000 mark in private sales or auctions. The grading scale, which ranges from PO1, poor, to MS-70, mint state perfect, plays a crucial role in determining a coin's market value. Even circulated examples with strong details and minimal wear can fetch between $5 and $50, while better preserved specimens are frequently appraised in the triple digits. But when you factor in mint errors, varieties, and die characteristics unique to the coin striking process, values can surge dramatically. A coin worth $418 likely features a combination of these traits: a solid grade, a distinct error or variety, and historical appeal, which together make it a coveted item in the eyes of experienced collectors and numismatics enthusiasts. The real magic of the 1944 wheat penny is that it blurs the line between ordinary and extraordinary. What starts as a simple copper cent from decades past becomes a treasure trove of historical significance and minting anomalies when closely examined. Whether it's tucked away in your grandfather's coin collection, hiding in a roll of pennies from the bank, or passed along as change in a long-forgotten transaction, this tiny piece of American history can yield big surprises. Its legacy is magnified by the mystery surrounding its many varieties, the thrill of the hunt for rare errors, and the deep nostalgia tied to an era of global conflict and national unity. In some cases, these coins are featured in museums or held in the personal collections of high-profile numismatists who prize them for their story as much as their value. The intrigue grows even more when you consider how many of these coins may still be in circulation or stashed away in old boxes, yet to be recognized for their true worth. That's why collectors remain so enthusiastic about 1944 wheat pennies. Each one might just be hiding a secret that turns pocket change into a significant payday. With increased awareness, more people are looking into their change jars, discovering the fine details that set their coins apart, and realizing that something as small and seemingly insignificant as a 1944 penny might carry a value far beyond its face. And it's not just the errors, it's the entire spectrum of qualities, from metal composition, strike clarity, toning, and historical context, to scarcity and market demand, that determines why these coins can become so valuable. Some lucky individuals have unknowingly possessed high-value 1944 wheat pennies for decades, only to discover their worth during a casual appraisal or after diving into the world of coin collecting out of curiosity. The appeal is universal, whether you're a lifelong collector or someone who just found a wheat penny in a drawer. As coin hunting continues to trend, particularly through social media platforms and online auctions, more people are tuning into the excitement and value of these vintage coins. And the 1944 wheat penny, with its perfect storm of history, mystery, and variety, remains a superstar among them. If you haven't already, take a closer look at your coins. You never know when you might stumble upon one of these valuable relics. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to like and subscribe for more stories about rare and valuable coins that could be hiding right under your nose. Next, 1952 D wheat penny USA coin. Have you ever walked past an old coin in a drawer, maybe spotted a wheat penny lying forgotten in a jar or tucked away in your grandparents' attic, and wondered if that tiny piece of copper might actually be worth more than its face value? Well, imagine if I told you that a humble 1952 D wheat penny, minted for just 1 cent, could now be valued at $400 or even more depending on its condition and unique minting errors. That's right, a single cent now carrying the weight of historical significance, collector intrigue, and the powerful draw of numismatic rarity. This little coin from Denver, Colorado, minted in the post-World War II era, might look like any other wheat penny at first glance, but its hidden flaws and quirks make it one of the most talked about collector pieces in the market today, and in this video, we're diving deep into the story, the technicalities, and the reasons behind this penny's elevated status. The 1952 D wheat penny has become a coin that fascinates both beginner collectors and seasoned numismatists due to a complex combination of factors, and the most compelling of these is the variety and frequency of minting errors that can be found among circulated and even uncirculated specimens. These errors aren't just random, they reflect the production challenges, human oversight, and equipment malfunctions that were prevalent at the Denver Mint during the early 1950s. Double die obverse, for example, are one of the most sought-after errors on the 1952 D penny. These occur when the die used to strike the coin impresses the design twice in slightly misaligned positions, producing a ghost-like doubling effect that's most noticeable on the date, the word liberty, or the iconic phrase "In God We Trust." When such doubling is sharp and clear, collectors often pay hundreds of dollars, even in circulated conditions, simply because the visual impact of the error makes the coin stand out as a true anomaly. Another significant error involves repunched mint marks, where the D mint mark for Denver was punched more than once, slightly off-kilter, during the die preparation stage. These repunched mint marks can create a fascinating shadow or blurred impression of the letter D, especially noticeable under magnification, and serve as a glaring testimony to the hands-on nature of mint mark application during that period, unlike today's more automated processes. Coins with RPM, repunched mint mark, errors are especially prized by variety collectors, and depending on the clarity of the doubling and the condition of the coin, a 1952 D penny with an RPM error can fetch well over $400 or more. Then there are off-center strikes, where the coin is not properly aligned in the press when struck, resulting in part of the design being pushed off the edge. Off-center errors ranging from 5% to 90% dramatically affect value, with more dramatic errors generally bringing in higher prices. The most valuable off-center coins typically retain a full date and mint mark, making them identifiable and attractive to collectors. In the case of the 1952 D wheat penny, off-center strikes with visible dates and mint marks are known and are highly desirable, often pushing their values to the $300 to $500 range depending on severity and eye appeal. Die cracks and die breaks are yet another error type that elevates the 1952 D penny's worth. These occur when the dies used to strike the coins begin to fracture due to repeated use, causing raised lines or cuds to appear on the struck coins. These cracks can span across Lincoln's portrait, cut through the lettering, or show up on the wheat ears on the reverse. Collectors love such imperfections because each one tells a story of the minting process wearing down, offering a one-of-a-kind result for each damaged die. Some 1952 D pennies show particularly dramatic die breaks that have made them centerpieces of private collections and auction lots. Struck-through errors also play a role in the 1952 D penny's rise in value. These happen when foreign objects like grease, fabric, or even metal shavings interfere with the coin die during the strike, leaving an impression or void on the final coin. Such coins are quite rare and are almost always evaluated case by case, but a struck-through 1952 D penny in good condition can be easily worth hundreds to niche collectors who appreciate these oddball mistakes. Broad strikes and clipped planchets add even more variety to the error possibilities of the 1952 D wheat penny. A broad strike error occurs when the retaining collar meant to keep the coin's shape fails, allowing the metal to spread beyond the normal boundaries, often making the coin appear misshapen or enlarged. Clipped planchets happen when the blank metal discs are improperly cut, resulting in part of the coin being missing entirely. These coins are especially interesting because their errors are immediately visible without magnification and are therefore easier to authenticate and appreciate. Even minor errors, like die chips or fill dies that affect the visibility of the date or the wheat stalks, can raise the coin's appeal and value. Beyond errors, the coin's overall condition is pivotal. High-grade examples of the 1952 D wheat penny that are uncirculated or close to it, particularly those graded MS-65 or higher by certified third-party services like PCGS or NGC, are increasingly rare and in demand. Mint state examples with even minor errors can multiply in value dramatically. Red-colored specimens, which retain their original mint luster, are especially sought after compared to brown or red-brown examples. It's important to note that the 1952 D wheat penny was part of a broader cultural and economic context. Coming at a time of growing post-war prosperity in the U.S., this coin was minted in an era that saw the rise of American industry, suburban expansion, and the baby boom. Many of these coins were used in everyday transactions during the 1950s and 60s, often passing through the hands of servicemen, factory workers, and young students. The wear and tear from decades of use has made high-grade examples even more precious. Collectors also seek out full-step examples on Lincoln's memorial, for later coins, or strong wheat ear definition in earlier coins, using magnification and precision to evaluate design clarity, strike sharpness, and surface preservation. Provenance and rarity add another layer of value. Coins with clear historical records, unique die pairings, or appearances in notable auctions can see their value spike even higher. If a 1952 D penny is tied to a specific die variety listed in official catalogs like the Cherry Picker's Guide or the Wexler Files, its value can multiply, especially when accompanied by certification and solid provenance. In recent years, the 1952 D penny has become a viral sensation on social media, with influencers and collectors sharing videos of their coin finds, error identifications, and auction results. As more people gain awareness of this coin's hidden value, interest surges, pushing prices higher and increasing competition for certified or raw examples at estate sales, flea markets, and online auctions. Even pocket change is being searched by modern treasure hunters hoping to spot the telltale signs of a valuable error. Platforms like TikTok, Instagram, and YouTube have helped spread the word about coins like the 1952 D penny, making numismatics both accessible and exciting to a younger generation who might otherwise have overlooked the hobby. That means now is a better time than ever to dig into your collection, or start one, and see if your 1952 D penny could be a rare gem in disguise. It's crucial, however, to verify these coins properly. Getting coins authenticated by professionals and stored in protective holders helps maintain their value and makes them easier to sell or trade. Grading services look at strike quality, surface preservation, luster, and eye appeal before assigning a numerical value from 1 to 70. Coins above MS65 are especially rare for the 1952 D series, making them excellent investments as demand grows. It's not just about errors, it's about the intersection of condition, rarity, and collector demand. While the average 1952 D penny might be worth a few cents in circulated condition, those special pieces with clear mint errors, sharp strikes, and strong eye appeal are what transform this ordinary penny into an extraordinary piece of history. So the next time you come across a wheat penny, don't dismiss it as just another old coin. Flip it over, examine the date, look closely for any doubling, repunched mint marks, or unusual shapes. Get out a magnifying glass and take a closer look. You might just be holding onto something that could be worth hundreds of dollars. Whether you're an experienced coin collector or just starting your journey into numismatics, the 1952 D wheat penny is a perfect example of how a tiny copper disc can hold huge value, rich history, and the possibility of big money hidden in plain sight. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell so you never miss a deep dive into the hidden treasures that might be sitting in your pocket change right now. Next, 1950 wheat penny USA coin. If you've ever stumbled across a jar of old coins or received some change and noticed a wheat penny with the year 1950 stamped on it, don't rush to spend it or toss it aside, because what might look like an ordinary 1-cent coin could potentially be worth hundreds of dollars, specifically up to $380 or more, all because of its minting errors, striking mistakes, rare variations, and overall condition that together make it an exciting and sought-after piece in the world of coin collecting and numismatics. And in this video we're diving deep into what makes the 1950 wheat penny such a valuable collectible, exploring the types of flaws that dramatically boost its value, and what possibilities exist for one of these humble coins to turn into a small fortune. So make sure you stick around to uncover everything you need to know about the fascinating history, anomalies, and grading secrets that contribute to the elevated worth of the 1950 wheat penny, a coin that continues to gain attention from collectors, dealers, and hobbyists alike due to its intriguing characteristics and the errors that define its rarity, because this is not just about copper and age, this is about what happens when the US Mint's imperfections and quirks turn into opportunities for wealth, and understanding that makes all the difference if you want to evaluate whether the 1950 penny in your collection, or even in your pocket, is one of the rare gems that collectors are paying hundreds of dollars to obtain. And the story of the 1950 wheat penny begins with its place in the broader Lincoln Cent series, a design that ran from 1909 to 1958 and featured the iconic wheat ears on the reverse side, symbolizing prosperity and the agricultural roots of the nation, while the obverse displayed the familiar portrait of President Abraham Lincoln. And in 1950, these pennies were minted at 3 different locations: the Philadelphia Mint, the Denver Mint, which bears a small D mint mark, and the San Francisco Mint, indicated with an S mint mark. And while the mintage numbers for these coins were relatively high, the key factor lies in the quality control and production issues of that time, which introduced a number of notable errors and varieties into circulation, and that's where the real excitement begins for collectors and treasure hunters alike. Because when we start to talk about why a 1950 wheat penny can be worth $380 or more, we are diving into the world of minting mistakes, planchet flaws, die cracks, off-center strikes, repunched mint marks, double dies, and other anomalies that occurred during the production process at the U.S. Mint and were accidentally released into circulation, making them highly collectible today. And one of the most desirable error types associated with the 1950 penny is the double die obverse, in which elements like the word "Liberty," "In God We Trust," or the numerals in the date, 1950, appear to be doubled due to a misalignment in the die hubbing process, and these doubling effects can range from mild to dramatic, with more prominent ones commanding much higher prices, especially when the coin is in high-grade condition with minimal wear. And another error that adds significant value is the repunched mint mark, or RPM, which happens when the mint mark, either a D for Denver or an S for San Francisco, is punched into the die more than once in slightly different locations, resulting in a visible overlapping or shadow effect that's easy to spot under magnification and highly prized by variety collectors. And these RPMs are catalogued and studied in great detail, with certain varieties being especially rare and therefore worth much more. And then there are die cracks, which occur when the die used to strike the coins develop small fractures that end up being transferred onto the coin's surface during the striking process. And these cracks can appear like raised lines across the coin, often on Lincoln's head, the rim, or the reverse wheat stalks. And while some might be subtle, larger and more pronounced cracks, especially those forming what collectors call cuds, or detached areas, are far more valuable. And in addition to die cracks, lamination errors are also worth noting, as they occur when impurities in the metal cause parts of the surface to peel or flake off, revealing unique textures and disruptions that significantly elevate the coin's uniqueness and market value. And let's not forget off-center strikes, one of the most visually dramatic types of mint errors, where the coin blank was not properly aligned during the strike, causing the design to be shifted and leaving a blank crescent on one side. And depending on how far off-center the strike is and whether the date remains fully visible, these coins can sell for hundreds of dollars, and sometimes more, especially in mint state condition. And there are also examples of broad-struck errors, where a coin is struck without the retaining collar, allowing the metal to spread beyond its normal dimensions and creating a flatter, broader appearance that is easily recognizable and collectible. And another rare possibility is a wrong planchet error, where a penny is struck on a blank intended for a different coin, like a dime or foreign denomination, resulting in incorrect size, weight, and coloration that make the coin instantly valuable to error specialists and advanced collectors. And when you add to that the normal rarity of finding any 1950 penny in pristine condition due to the fact that most were used heavily in circulation, the value increases even more, because coins graded MS-65 or higher with full red coloration, designated RD by grading services, are much more desirable than their brown, BN, or red-brown, RB, counterparts. And coins that combine high grade with a known error or die variety routinely sell for hundreds of dollars, with many recorded sales approaching or surpassing $380. Depending on the exact combination of features and demand at the time of sale, and part of what drives that demand is the strong nostalgia and historical value attached to wheat pennies in general, especially those minted during the mid-20th century, as they evoke a time of post-war economic growth and national pride. And many people grew up seeing or collecting wheat cents, making them emotionally resonant as well as financially intriguing. And coin roll hunters, estate sale buyers, and even casual hobbyists often find themselves drawn to the 1950 wheat penny because it represents a sweet spot of availability, potential value, and error possibilities that make it an exciting target. and as grading services and coin attribution tools become more accessible, more people are identifying errors and getting their coins certified, which helps maintain a healthy and competitive market for coins like the 1950 wheat penny, especially in light of increasing social media exposure and viral interest in rare coins, where stories of people finding valuable wheat pennies in old jars or inherited collections continue to spark widespread curiosity and enthusiasm. And when evaluating a 1950 penny, it's crucial to check for doubling on the date and lettering, inspect the mint mark closely for repunching, examine the rim and fields for die cracks or cuds, look for any signs of lamination or strike-throughs, and assess the strike quality and luster to determine its potential value, and if it seems promising, submitting it to a grading service like PCGS or NGC can offer professional authentication and unlock its full market potential. And with patience, research, and a bit of luck, even a single penny found in an old shoebox could turn into a $380 treasure or more, especially if it contains one of the sought-after errors or high-grade attributes collectors are always on the lookout for. And what makes the 1950 wheat penny so fascinating is that it straddles the line between common and rare. The regular versions are easy to find and affordable, but once you factor in the right combination of condition and mistakes, the same coin can transform into a highly valuable asset that commands top dollar in auctions and private sales. And that unpredictability is what fuels the thrill and passion of coin collecting for so many, because every coin has a story, and some, like the 1950 wheat penny with its $380 potential, have tales of imperfection, survival, and rediscovery that continue to inspire and captivate people of all ages. And whether you're an experienced numismatist or just someone checking through spare change out of curiosity, this is one coin that proves a little knowledge, a keen eye, and an appreciation for history can turn something small into something truly remarkable. So don't forget to like and subscribe for more amazing stories about valuable coins, hidden treasures, and everything you need to know to potentially find a fortune hiding in plain sight. Next, 1951 wheat penny USA coin. Have you ever imagined that a simple coin from your pocket change or an old family coin jar could actually be worth hundreds of dollars? Well, the 1951 wheat penny from the United States is one such incredible coin that might seem common at first glance but can command a surprising value of up to $395 or more depending on a combination of rare minting mistakes, production anomalies, unique physical characteristics, and historical significance that continue to fascinate collectors and drive up its demand and market price in the world of numismatics. And in this video we're going deep into the intricate details of why the 1951 wheat penny has become a treasure for collectors and how certain versions of it, especially those with recognized errors and superior condition, are considered worth big money in today's coin market. So if you're holding onto one or even stumble across one during coin roll hunting or browsing through inherited collections, you might want to take a closer look, because the seemingly insignificant copper coin you have could hold far more than face value and might just be a miniature jackpot waiting to be discovered and understood. And to begin understanding the journey of the 1951 wheat penny, we need to look at its origins within the long-running Lincoln Wheat Cent series, which was produced from 1909 to 1958, featuring 2 wheat stalks on the reverse and the famous Lincoln bust on the obverse. And in 1951 this coin was minted at 3 locations: Philadelphia, which issued coins without a mint mark, Denver, which used the D mint mark, and San Francisco, which used the S mint mark. And while millions were minted overall across all 3 mints, thereby giving the impression of commonality, the truth is that coins with high grades, uncirculated quality, or notable mint errors are significantly less common and incredibly more valuable. And these are the coins that routinely catch the eye of collectors and experts and can fetch hundreds of dollars in auctions or private sales. And one of the key reasons the 1951 wheat penny can rise to a value of $395 lies in its potential to feature dramatic minting errors such as double die obverse errors, repunched mint marks, off-center strikes, die cracks, die clashes, lamination errors, strike-throughs, and wrong planchet anomalies, which all have the capacity to elevate a coin's desirability far beyond its original 1-cent value. And let's talk about the double die obverse first, which is one of the most well-known and collectible error types and is caused during the hubbing process when the die used to strike the coin is improperly impressed with the design twice, creating a visible doubling on key inscriptions like, "In God We Trust," Liberty, or the date, 1951, and this doubling can range from subtle to bold, but in either case it creates a striking visual that is immediately attractive to collectors and adds significantly to the coin's market value, especially when preserved in mint state or near mint condition. And another key error to watch out for is the repunched mint mark, often abbreviated as RPM, and this occurs when the mint mark, either a D or an S in the case of the 1951 D and 1951 S coins, is punched into the die more than once but not in the exact same location, creating a visible shadow or overlapping effect under magnification that becomes a collector's dream, especially when documented and attributed properly by reputable grading services such as PCGS or NGC, and coins with well-defined RPMs often command impressive prices, especially when they are also in higher uncirculated grades. And then we have off-center strikes, which occur when the blank planchet is not properly aligned within the coin press, resulting in a coin that is partially blank and partially struck with the intended design. And while minor off-centers are relatively more common, those with dramatic shifts, such as 10% to 50% off-center, and still showing the date clearly, can be extremely valuable and add an unusual visual appeal that enhances collectability. And moving on, we encounter die cracks, which happen when the metal die used to strike the coin develops a small fracture, and that crack gets transferred to the struck coin as a raised line or area, and these can vary in location and intensity, with larger cracks, especially those that form cuds or create odd textures on the coin, commanding even higher premiums due to their uniqueness. And collectors often seek specific examples where the cracks add distinct character to the coin without interfering with the core design elements. And then there are lamination errors, which occur due to impurities or inconsistencies in the metal alloy, resulting in flakes or layers of the coin's surface peeling off or separating either before or after striking, and these errors produce coins with jagged, flaky, or torn textures that stand out sharply from normal examples. And when combined with a clean date and mint mark, they can significantly boost the coin's value. And die clashes represent another fascinating error in which the coin dies strike each other without a planchet between them, resulting in the transfer of design elements from one die onto the other. And when those dies are used again to strike coins, the clash marks are visible on the struck coin and create ghostly images or distorted patterns, especially noticeable around the central design elements. And while often subtle, these features are widely collected and catalogued, especially in the Lincoln Cent series. And strike-through errors are yet another category to consider, in which foreign materials such as grease, cloth, or even small fragments of metal interfere with the strike, leading to unusual and sometimes dramatic patterns imprinted on the coin's surface. And these coins, when verified to have genuine mint-based strike-throughs, command solid premiums depending on severity, location, and overall eye appeal. And then there's one of the most valuable and rare types: wrong planchet errors, where the coin is mistakenly struck on a blank intended for a different denomination, or even a foreign coin, resulting in incorrect size, weight, and metal composition, which makes the coin immediately noticeable and highly desirable. And in such cases, the 1951 wheat penny may have been struck on a dime or a foreign coin blank, which not only changes the diameter and color but also introduces weight discrepancies that can be verified by weighing and measuring the coin accurately. And examples of such errors can easily break past the $395 range, especially if they are verified and slabbed by a reputable third-party grading service. And speaking of condition, it's important to understand that even without dramatic errors, a 1951 penny can reach a high value when it is preserved in mint state, especially grades MS 65 and above, with full red luster, which indicates the coin retains most or all of its original coppery color without being toned brown from age or handling. And because red coins are much rarer than red-brown or brown coins, especially from this era, their value tends to be much higher. And when you combine red designation with a recognized error or variety, the market value spikes considerably, often pushing prices into the high hundreds or even more. And many of these coins are also collected as part of complete date and mint sets of Lincoln Cents, which remain one of the most popular series in American numismatics and drive consistent demand for well-preserved or interesting pieces from each year, including 1951, and auction records and collector Databases are full of sales where ordinary-looking wheat pennies turned out to be rare error coins or high-grade examples and sold for hundreds or thousands of dollars, and part of what fuels this market is the increasing accessibility of information and grading tools that allow more collectors to identify rare coins in their possession and seek out professional opinions or put them up for sale through online platforms. And it's this combination of curiosity, historical nostalgia, and the potential for unexpected financial reward that makes the 1951 wheat penny such an exciting target for collectors of all levels, from experienced numismatists to new hobbyists just starting to explore their coin jars and bank rolls. And whether you find one with clear doubling, a repunched mint mark, an off-center strike, a visible die crack, a dramatic lamination, a strong die clash, or even just a pristine mint state red example with minimal contact marks, the 1951 wheat penny can absolutely be worth far more than its 1 cent face value and become a cornerstone of your collection or a nice payday depending on what you decide to do with it. So be sure to examine any 1951 pennies you come across under a magnifying glass, weigh them if needed, check for mint mark varieties, and consider sending them in for grading if they show any of the signs we've talked about, because that investment could reveal a coin valued at $395 or more, and with more collectors entering the hobby every day, and social media fueling the excitement with viral coin finds and discovery stories, now is the perfect time to learn what makes a coin valuable and start searching your own change for hidden treasures like the fascinating and potentially lucrative 1951 wheat penny. So if you found this breakdown helpful and want to keep learning about rare coins worth real money, make sure to like and subscribe for more deep dives into the world of coins, errors, and valuable numismatic secrets you won't want to miss. Last 1953 wheat penny USA coin. Are you ready to discover how a small copper coin that was once worth only a single cent in 1953 can now be worth as much as $365 or more thanks to a combination of fascinating minting errors, unique production mistakes, limited varieties, and condition-dependent rarity that has made the 1953 wheat penny one of the more intriguing and desirable pieces among collectors and coin enthusiasts around the world, because today we're taking an in-depth journey into what makes the 1953 wheat penny so valuable, how certain mistakes and imperfections during its creation process have skyrocketed its market value, and what you should be looking for if you happen to come across one of these incredible coins in a drawer, coin roll, family collection, or simply lying around unnoticed in everyday circulation. So if you're a curious viewer, a coin collector, or someone who loves the idea of turning small finds into big profits, this story of the 1953 wheat penny will grab your attention from start to finish as we uncover the numerous error types, production flaws, mint variations, grading details, and historical background that contribute to making this 1 cent coin potentially worth hundreds of dollars today. And to begin understanding its value, we have to first consider the context in which it was produced, as the 1953 wheat penny was minted at the Denver Mint, indicated by the D mint mark just below the date, and the coin was part of the Lincoln Cent series that had been in production since 1909 and would continue in its wheat reverse form until 1958 before being replaced by the Lincoln Memorial Reverse. And although over 700 million 1953 cents were minted, which might suggest it is a common coin, the real value comes into play when we take a closer look at what went wrong during its production. And it's within those mistakes, imperfections, and quirks that we find coins now being sold for $365 or more. And one of the most talked about and sought after types of errors on the 1953 penny is the double die obverse, an error that occurred when the die used to stamp the design onto the blank planchet was itself created improperly due to a misalignment during the hubbing process, leading to a duplicated image on the coin that is most often seen on the inscriptions like "Liberty, in God We Trust," and the date, 1953. And collectors love this kind of doubling because it's highly visible and striking to the eye, and because not all 1953 pennies have it, the few that do are instantly more valuable and sought after, especially when the coin is in high-grade condition. And speaking of grade, condition matters more than almost anything else when it comes to value, as coins that have been heavily circulated will naturally show wear, discoloration, scratches, and other signs of handling, while coins that remain in mint state, particularly those graded MS 65 and higher with a full red, RD, luster, R. exponentially more valuable, and a 1953 D wheat penny with a strong error and an MS-65RD or MS-66RD grade can easily reach or surpass the $365 valuation, and that's just the start, because another critical error type present in some 1953 D pennies is the repunched mint mark or RPM, which is when the small d mint mark was punched into the die more than once but not precisely in the same location, leading to a shadow effect or visible doubling that collectors love to find under magnification. And these repunched mint marks vary from mild to extreme and are often categorized by variety experts and given specific catalog numbers, making them part of official error and variety guides, and when paired with a mint state grade, a strong RPM can add tremendous value to a 1953 D penny. And we also see other kinds of errors in these coins, including die cracks, where the die used to strike the coin had developed small fractures that appeared as raised lines or even lumps on the struck coin. And if these cracks are significant or form shapes that interrupt the design, such as across Lincoln's face, around the rim, or between the wheat stalks on the reverse, they are highly prized and frequently auctioned for well above standard market value. And then we have die chips, which are similar but involve pieces of the die breaking away and creating blobs of extra metal on the coin during the strike, and these blobs, often found near the letters, numbers, or wheat tips, are considered fascinating visual features and are regularly collected by those who specialize in die state studies and error progression. And we also can't overlook off-center strikes, which occur when the blank was not perfectly centered within the press when struck, resulting in a coin that has part of its design shifted or missing, and off-center strikes on a 1953 D penny that still show the full date and mint mark can easily sell for $100 to $300 depending on the degree of the error, and more extreme examples with 30% to 50% off-center designs can go for even more, especially when the coin is also uncirculated. And let's not forget about lamination errors, which happen when the surface metal peels or flakes off due to impurities or inconsistencies in the alloy, creating cracked or missing portions on the coin that appear ragged and unpredictable. And these lamination errors can cover small or large areas of the coin, and when dramatic enough can draw a lot of collector interest, especially on a coin that's already decades old and part of a beloved series. And strike-through errors are another class of mistakes seen in 1953 D wheat pennies, and these occur when foreign materials like grease, string, wire, or even small bits of cloth get caught between the die and planchet during the strike, leaving behind unique impressions or marks that are often highly visible and impossible to duplicate, which makes each one unique and often valuable, and a less common but extremely important kind of error is when a 1953 D penny was struck on the wrong planchet, meaning that instead of being struck on a standard Lincoln cent blank, it was mistakenly struck on a blank intended for a dime, nickel, or even a foreign coin. And these wrong planchet errors often result in underweight or oddly sized coins that raise immediate interest and have been known to sell for hundreds or even thousands of dollars. And adding to all these error types is the overall condition of the coin, with coins designated as full red being far more valuable than red-brown or brown examples, and coins that have full luster, no contact marks, and strong details on both obverse and reverse are considered ideal for collectors building registry sets or completing their collection with high-quality pieces. And because the 1953 D penny was produced at a time when quality control was more manual than automated, the chance for these types of errors to occur was much higher than today. And while the bulk of 1953 D pennies were struck correctly and used in regular commerce, a small fraction were released with these errors, and over time many have been lost, damaged, or forgotten, which makes finding one today in good shape with a dramatic error an increasingly rare and valuable occurrence. And collectors often search for these in bank rolls, estate sale lots, old jars, or inherited collections, hoping to find just one example that has a strong error, full red color, and high grade that together create the perfect recipe for a coin worth $365 or more. And over the years many 1953 D era pennies have shown up in major auctions, certified by PCGS, NGC, ANAX, or other respected grading services, and have fetched impressive amounts based on error severity and preservation quality. And it's also worth noting that Lincoln wheat pennies in general have seen a resurgence in popularity thanks to social media, YouTube, and coin collecting influencers who showcase these coins and help educate New collectors on how to identify potential treasures, and the 1953 D penny is often highlighted because of its combination of high minting numbers and a surprisingly high frequency of collectible errors, making it one of the more rewarding coins to search for in bulk or individual lots, and in some cases, even without an error. A beautifully preserved 1953 D penny with blazing red color and a grade of MS 67 RD or higher can be worth hundreds of dollars simply due to its condition scarcity, and these are usually coins that were carefully stored in original bank rolls, coin albums, or mint sets and never entered general circulation, and they retain their beauty decades later and command strong premiums. And even mid-grade coins with noticeable errors like light RPM or small die cracks can easily surpass $50 to $100, especially when listed with proper certification and variety attribution, and this all points to one truth: the 1953 D wheat penny, though seemingly ordinary, holds incredible potential for value when you understand what makes certain examples unique and worth more, and by learning to identify doubling, repunched mint marks, die cracks, lamination flaws, off-center strikes, strike-throughs, wrong planchet errors, and most importantly checking overall grade and luster, you can turn what seems like a 1-cent coin into a meaningful addition to your collection or a valuable item to sell. And with thousands of collectors always on the lookout for high-quality and error-filled wheat pennies, there's never been a better time to explore what's sitting in your coin jar, bank roll, or inherited box of cents, and maybe, just maybe, you'll come across a 1953 D wheat penny with that perfect combination of mint mistake and uncirculated brilliance that turns heads and wallets at coin shows, online auctions,